Alright, so tonight we're going to be doing a recipe that I've been wanting to do for a while. I'm not going to say it's the easiest recipe we've ever done, but it's definitely worth all the hard work you put into it. We're going to be doing a homemade lasagna. It's going to have a great meat sauce. We're going to do some homemade pasta. If you do all this stuff, I promise you it'll be well worth it. Let's get started. Alright, first thing we're going to do is we're going to start with this meat sauce. This meat sauce needs to sit for an hour, hour and a half at least. If you want to do this a couple days ahead of time, let it sit in the fridge. It's just going to get even better with time. But to get started, we've got a pound of ground beef and a pound of Italian sausage. We have a mild Italian. If you want to use sweet, use hot, whatever you want. Throw it right into the skillet. Hoping all this will fit in this. Might have to switch to a bigger pot by the time it's said and done. We've already got 5 cloves of garlic minced up. I just did that. We're going to get a yellow onion. Take half of that onion and mince it. Alright, we're just going to give this a fine mince. Done. We're going to go ahead and start sauteing these onions and this garlic. And we got 5 cloves of garlic here. Just let that cook until it gets a little bit translucent. So we get some big basil leaves here. We're going to go ahead and do this now. We're going to lay the biggest one down on the bottom and stack them up, biggest to smallest, and roll it like it's a cigar. And from there, take our knife and you got some basil that's freshly cut, and it smells amazing already. You can really tell a difference using these fresh herbs. Alright, now it's time for the thyme. What you want to do is you want to take the stem, and you'll just grab it and you'll pull it through so that the leaves come off clean. Try to get as little of the stem as possible. I am going to chop it up a little bit. It kind of releases some of the flavor there once you break it up. Alright, we've sauteed these onions and this garlic, and it's got an awesome color to it. We're going to add about 12 ounces of tomato paste and let this cook with it. We're going to stir this in there. We're going to let this saute for just a minute. We're going to be using about 28 ounces of crushed tomatoes, and then we're going to be using some tomato sauce as well. And at this point, I'm going to go ahead and add the bulk of my seasoning. So, like I said, we've got about 4 or 5 leaves of fresh basil. I'm going to add most of that. I'm going to add our thyme. Alright, then we're going to take some dried Italian seasoning. And one of the things I really love is using fennel seed. Alright, we're going to add some pepper, some fresh cracked black pepper, a heavy pinch of salt. And this is really important to add some sugar as well. The sugar really balances out the acidity. With all this stuff, there's a ton of acid in this, and this really balances out. Alright, we're going to add 8 ounces of tomato sauce. And now we're going to add 28 ounces of crushed tomatoes as well. Maybe. Okay. Alright, we've got our sauce simmering. We've cleaned up a little bit. We did have to move it to a bigger pot. There was just no way around it. But now we're going to make some dough, some pasta dough. It's going to take about 30 minutes to rest. By the time that's done, it's going to be about an hour, hour and a half for the sauce, and we're going to get close to being where we can start putting the lasagna together. Alright, for these homemade pasta noodles, we're going to take 2.5 cups of all-purpose flour. We're going to dump it out on this cutting board here. Now, we're just going to go ahead and make a well here, and we're going to pour our egg inside of this, and start to slowly incorporate it once we do. Like I said, we're going to have 5 eggs. We're going to do 3 eggs and 2 egg yolks. That one didn't crack very well. Alright, now we're going to start breaking these up. Whisk this all together. Should have made a little bit of a bigger well. Oh, almost forgot, we're going to add a big pinch of salt here. Right in the middle. Once you get that broken up real well and mixed together, Start slowly pulling in the sides here and incorporating that a little bit. You really want to make this well a little bit bigger, just to be quite honest with you. But you want to incorporate the flour slowly, just a little bit at a time. So that's why you kind of drag it in. And there it goes. If you don't make a well big enough, that's what's going to happen. But it's no problem. Just keep working it all together. Alright, just bring it all together and start working it until it comes into a fine ball. This is a little bit sticky on me, so we're going to add a little bit more flour. You're going to want to knead this for 5 to 10 minutes, at least 5. Just keep working it. Now when it comes to these noodles, being that it's fresh pasta, we're only going to have to cook these for about 1 minute. Fresh pasta takes much less time to cook than dry pasta. Has it been 5 minutes yet? All right, that's a little bit of a workout actually. All right, now we're going to just form this into a little ball and cover this up. Be good to go in 30 minutes. All right, everything's going well. Our pasta dough is resting. Our sauce is simmering and it tastes amazing already. It's just going to keep getting better. It's time to talk about the rest of the ingredients. So for the cheese, we're going to go ahead and start grating up some Parmesan, some fresh Parmesan here. Now you may be asking why, we're going through all this trouble to do as much stuff over the top as we can, and we're using pre-shredded mozzarella. Well, it's hard to find fresh mozzarella that's not low moisture. I've tried to use it before. The problem is it's got so much moisture in it, it's going to make it soggy, and it's going to let that moisture just kind of leaks out, and it's just not good. Now we've also got some ricotta cheese, so we're going to have this as the spread. We've got 16 ounces here. We're going to go ahead and crack an egg in that. We're going to crack this egg in it. We're going to add a little bit of thyme, and we're going to add a pinch of salt. We're going to mix that up really, really well. If you wanted to use like a bechamel sauce or something like that in place of this, you could. This is the classic way to do it. Like I said, if you can, try to use some real Parmesan and grate it yourself. It makes for a much better product. This cheese is pretty great. Get it, honey? Like cheese grater. Okay. This dough is set out for about 30-45 minutes, something like that. It is good to go. We are going to cut it into quarters. Just like that. And what we're going to do is we're going to take a little bit more flour. Just kind of flour the work surface here. Cover them up and get it ready for the pasta roller. Now you do not have to have a pasta machine like this, especially for lasagna. You can do this by hand. It's just a lot easier with the pasta roller. The main thing is, if you do it with a rolling pin, you're looking to get it as thin as about 1/8 of an inch, which is basically thin enough that when you put your hand behind it, you can see your hand through it. Just gonna put it through here. In the first setting. Do it again to the first setting. Go to the second setting. One more time. Alright, you can see how long this is. This is going to make for some awesome lasagna noodles. We're going to go ahead and cut this in half. And this is totally unnecessary, but I'm just going to square up the edges here. Alright, now we're going to be using a 9x13 baking dish. As you can tell, this is going to be pretty close to that. You just want to make sure it's going to be pretty close to 13 inches long. You don't want to stack these or else they'll stick together. And this is leftover dough. I'm not going to use it tonight, so we're going to wrap this up in some plastic wrap really tight and freeze it. We'll make some fettuccine or some spaghetti with this later on this week. We're going to lay these noodles out. We'll call them nudes. We're going to lay these nudes out. At this point, your entire house smells amazing. Everybody. What's that?
Even though you can't eat anything for another hour.
Someone's hungry. Yeah, speaking of that, go ahead and preheat your oven to 350 so you don't have to wait on that. Now, heat this out. We're gonna take some cooking spray and spray it down. Reason being, we're only gonna cook these noodles a few at a time, and we're not gonna put them together once they're done because they will completely stick together. Got our water ready. It's hot. It's almost to a boil. Please, please, please salt it. Salt your pasta water always. Like I said, these are not gonna take long. We're gonna give them 60 seconds each. Put it in there. Make sure they don't stick together. Alright, it's now time to finally put it all together. This sauce is ready. It looks amazing and it tastes amazing. Be sure to taste it. Make sure it doesn't need anything. We're going to start off with a layer of the sauce. Try not to spill it on the very first thing you do. That'd be better than doing that. Okay, let's take a couple spoonfuls of this sauce. Now we're just really wanting this to cover the bottom so the noodles won't stick to it. And hopefully we have some of this meat sauce left over. That would be awesome to make some spaghetti or some fettuccine bolognese with that leftover pasta dough. So, all right, take a couple of your pasta sheets and cover that up. Now I had this one small one here and I was gonna tear it to fit these little gaps here so that everything's covered when we use the pasta. Then we're gonna take our ricotta spread. We're gonna spread that out evenly. Use about half of it here. And build it as you need to. If you wanted to use a different size pan, if you want to make it taller, you could. Obviously, you just need the sheets, the pasta sheets cut in a different size. All right, now we're going to take our mozzarella, sprinkle about half of that on there. Taking a little bit of this Parmesan as well. All right, now we're going to get a lot of this meat sauce on here. All right, now we gotta do another layer of noodles, or nudes as we call them. All right, ricotta cheese. Parmesan, ooh, it was almost bad. We're gonna take a big handful of this Parmesan here. Spread that out evenly. We're gonna do a little bit more meat. Now look, this is how much I have left over. Save that. It's gonna make for some awesome pasta in a couple of days. All right, at this point, we're gonna take the rest of this chopped basil that we have. Just kind of sprinkle it on there as best you can. Finish it off with some mozzarella. Get a good even layer here so it gets it a little bit of a crust that builds up. Add a little bit of Parmesan to this as well. Fill in the cracks. We're gonna spray the bottom side of this so that it doesn't stick to that cheese while it bakes. So we're gonna bake it for 25 minutes covered and 25 minutes uncovered at 375 degrees. Try your best to get it in the oven before 7:15. All right. Tell me that doesn't look amazing. Golden and bubbly on the top. The problem is we're supposed to wait like 20-25 minutes again to let it rest. It's gonna be tough. Let it cool off. It's gonna be worth it, I promise. This thing looks amazing and it smells even better. All right, it's been about 20 minutes. We really can't wait any longer. We're starving, it's 8:15. We're gonna go ahead and cut into this thing. See if we can get a clean cut here. I have a feeling this is going to go everywhere. It held up a little bit better than I thought. Now this is in no shape to be eaten, if you can't tell by the steam coming off of it. Let's hit it with some fresh parm. Now would you look at that? Look at the layers. That fresh pasta dough looks so good. All right, it's been a lot of work to get to this point. More than it has to be, and I get that. So I totally understand if you don't want to do the homemade noodles, it's still really good without that, but let's see what we got here. So good. It is so good. It's so worth it to do all that. I know it's a lot extra, but do it. It's worth it. Best lasagna ever. I promise. As always, thank you for watching. If you have any ideas on what you want to see us cook next, please leave them in the comments. We would really appreciate if you go to our YouTube channel and subscribe and like this video. It would help us out a ton. And as always, thanks for watching.